I'm Spencer,
And I was born in blood.
and this is The Itch.
We're here to review
Bloodborne! Woo!
for the
PlayStation 4 exclusively.
exclusive. We're
PlayStation 4
exclusive. Should we get an announcing? Exclusive.
So this game was just released on Tuesday for the PlayStation 4.
Mm-hmm.
It is a spiritual successor to the Souls series, you could say.
Well, more so the Demon Souls, because it is essentially based off the connection between Sony and what's it called?
From Software.
Yeah, From Soft. The game is published, the Dark Souls series, published by Namco Bandai, I believe. This one's actually directly... The Demon Souls was published by Atlas into America,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly, and this one's published directly by Sony.
Right.
Like, hey, you know what? Send that shit, because we want to make some money, you know? Which makes sense. Fine. So as far as experience goes, I have played more than 40 hours on this game. I've completed it.
I've actually played 3 hours into this one, but he'll get $1.
Baller!
I like it.
I've played and beat every Souls game. You might say I was playing Souls games before it was cool. Yeah!
Oh boy!
No, I originally found Demon Souls and I was like, you know what? I heard this game is hard. I'm gonna pick it up and play it. Ended up beating it, fell in love with it, and then when Dark Souls came out, everyone's like, "Oh, I'm on board," and I was like, "No, what about me?" So it happens. Story-wise, you play as a hunter on the night of the hunt. Ooh. Pretty much, you're cursed, and you're essentially given a sort of blood transfusion of sorts by a gentleman by the name of Father Gascoigne, I believe. He allows you to become a hunter. You wake up in a hospital. You're like, the fuck am I? Bam! Story. Deal with it. Your job is to essentially survive the hunt by hunting the pale blood. And along your way, you're fighting a bunch of beasts and humans and some hunters here and there. You're going to have a hard time with that. I'll tell you right now. Some hunters are dicks. But it's definitely there. Gameplay-wise, it's typical of a Souls game. A little bit of differences. There's no blocking, no more shield. There actually is a shield. It's a wooden shield. It's made to be a joke, because fuck you. That's the way I read it, so you should too. It's an action RPG. It's definitely unforgiving. The game, if you die, you have one chance to reclaim... Or when you die, you lose your blood echoes. I still call them souls. And then you have one chance to reclaim them. Sometimes you have to deal with a monster who has maybe glowing eyes. They have your souls. They're empowered by your blood echoes and shit. And they're like, I'm fucking strong as shit. You gotta kill them, regain yourself back, because if you die again, you lose it. They keep that shit. Fuck, sucks for you. Along your way, you have weapons such as trick weapons. It's your melee weapon. Your weapon can form into two different, pretty inventive styles. My favorite being the scythe. It's an actual scythe, and then it can break off, and you put the shaft on your back, and it's a curved sword.
Oh.
My other favorite, the cane. It's a normal cane, right?
The
Walking cane. The Jacob cane. Whip that shit out, and it's a whip. Like, legit. Shit's hard as a motherfucker. Anyway, it's reaction-based. You can get really intense depending on where and who you're fighting. It has a health regeneration mechanic that works differently from any Souls game.
It's called Regain.
Or Rogaine. The emphasis being on attacking while the iron's hot, as some would say. You must attack your enemy after you've been hit. You're given a certain amount of red life that you can recover. And if you don't attack your enemy back, you lose that shit. So it emphasizes you being an aggressive player. And it definitely sets you up in some of the boss fights. Is it harder than any of the Souls games, the other ones? Yes. I would dare say it's harder than Demon Souls, which is actually harder than the Dark Souls games, in my opinion. This game definitely forces you to play the game how they invented it, how they created it, how the world is. You know, you rushing head first in, cutting down all these people, taking damage like a war hero in an action movie. You know, like 300 pretty much, you know, like, cut me on the leg, get him back, you know, whatever the case is. Visually, game looks pretty impressive. I'm not gonna lie.
It's very pretty.
The environments, especially in the first area, you know they wanted you to enjoy the first area. That shit is gothic as a motherfucker. It looks great. It looks very polished. as far as the surroundings and everything like that. Feels like you're in a live world. Victorian era, Gothic inspired kind of thing. Very nice. Characters are pretty detailed. One gripe I do have though, there's a bit of a frame rate dip when you go to certain areas, mainly the Forbidden Woods. Frame rate dip and Old Yarnum frame rate dip. Very unfortunate. Happens. What are you gonna do?
I will also say that the character customization of Elder Scrolls ugly. So be prepared for that.
Well, in every Dark Souls, they never got it right. They've always been ugly. Yeah, Elder Scrolls ugly. You're right.
Ugh.
So it is what it is. You can't make a pretty character.
I made a girl, wouldn't hit it. Wouldn't hit it.
0 out of 10. I made a girl, gave her that heterochromia or whatever.
Yeah.
Pretty sick. She's got one red eye because it's Bloodborne. That's my second character to help you out. My first character is a boss. Music and sound-wise, music is complementary to its surroundings. You're going to hear very opera-oriented, kind of orchestrated setups and stuff when you get to some of the creepier places, because the game can get a little creepy.
The game is scary.
Me, there's fucking giant spiders. The game gets creepy. God damn.
He doesn't like spiders. He's got arachnophobia.
Oh, man. Most common phobia in the world, I think. Arachnophobia.
That's
hey, man.
Kind of silly to say.
Hey, everyone's afraid of them, right? I've done the test.
I'm scared of things.
I've ran the numbers!
I'm scared of things that could kill me. Hey, that's just how I feel.
Well, I don't even want to see them. Fuck out the way, Voice acting's pretty good. A lot of the voice acting is, they're meant to sound really dry.
Yeah.
When they talk, they're so, you're that hunter, aren't you? Like the little girl, I feel so bad. I'll show you where the little girl's at. She'll be like, can you look for my mom? And then you gotta go find her mom, and, spoiler alert, she's dead.
She's dead.
And then you can't find her, and then you give her back the brooch, and she just cries. You can choose not to give it to her. I didn't. I was like, no. No. Sound of the zombies and all the noises. They're not really zombies. It's cool. They call you a beast, which is interesting and ironic considering they themselves are. It's a narrative. It tells a story.
Maybe it's Eye of the Beholder.
Yes, I actually believe it is. Because they believe hunters to be beasts. So they're like, get out of here! Away! They look at you like you're a freak of nature. Like pitchforks and all those other improvised MacGyver tools to try and, kill you and stuff. I will say the dynamic sound can be confusing. I played with my headset on, except when the spiders were there. But I can't hear them. I don't want to hear that shit. I play with the headset on. I'll be like, oh, there's a guy behind me. Nope, not at all. The game just has the sound sometimes. Maybe it was just sound options for me, but it didn't work out that well. But in the end, the game's visually appealing. It's got quick-paced combat. Trust me, when you play some of the later bosses, they demand that you be quick. You have to move fast. Combat is very satisfying. Getting that gunshot parry, and then they crumple, you're like, ah! Just reach in their ass and pull out the blood. The fun is in the struggle. The struggle is real, okay? And it's fun in that game. It's fun to be like, shit, I don't know how to beat this boss.
So I played the game the day it came out. I played it for 3 hours. And I got to one checkpoint in that 3 hours. And you know what? I was so excited to come back.
I can't wait to die.
I really was. I could not wait to play it again.
Yeah, and the best thing about it, the reason why it'll appeal to older souls like us, is because it doesn't hold your hand. It's that ode back to your traditional...
Your Mega Mans,
your
Prince of Persias.
Your games that just are like, hey, deal with it, Downside, you're looking at a frame rate dip, which is unfortunate. It does happen in some areas. The game is never 60 frames. You're looking at, if I'm being generous, a little over 30 frames. Some areas do dip down a little bit lower, and it's hard to be a reaction base when you have to account for 2 60ths of a second.
Yeah, it's very in the end of the frame. So if something has 20 frames or whatever you want to say for it, you can't do anything until the other frames are done. Yeah. So it very heavily relies on this frame.
Yeah, you're required to kind of know in advance when to dodge and things like that. So but then again, that's the nature of the game. Load times. We have to stress this enough. The load times do kill a little bit of the game. It makes me lazy.
Well,
to be honest,
you could go one way with it and say you're being punished, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
so motherfuckers. But also, the thing about the load times is sometimes when you go to an area and you're like, oh, I went to the wrong area, and you have to go back to the Hunter's Dream and then go to another area. Hunter's Dream mode's relatively fast, but going to another place, you're like, oh, 20 seconds. It kind of sucks, kind of pulls up from the fun of the game, which is unfortunate. Again, the dynamic sounds aren't really dynamic. They're just sounds in general, so sometimes you're not going to hear someone behind you. Could have been an error with my headphones. You know, who knows? I'm actually going to play around with the sounds a little bit more and see if there's anything different that happens with that. One of the problems that I had in Dark Souls 2 actually persists in this game, which is enemy and player tracking. So player tracking is that element in which you strike at an enemy, or an enemy strikes at you, and you dodge, and does the attack still follow? So if you dodge an attack, usually what's supposed to happen is they're not counting for you dodging. Like in the real world, they're not accounting for that. They're doing a huge wind-up attack. You should be able to strafe, and if they're doing a vertical and you're going horizontal, they're not able to follow through. I've had plenty of times, and believe me, I don't suck at these games, where I will strafe and avoid, like, say, the guys with the big axes, and they will follow it and hit you down. Or if I'm using, say, the pistol, and I get it, it's the pistol, not the blunderbuss, and I'll be trying to get a gun counter. And the game will not account for aiming. It'll just fire straight. And if someone has a lower hitbox, or they're crouching when they attack, or whatever the case is, goes right over. And it sucks. So that's a little bit unfortunate. Obviously, the game wants you to be able to react accordingly. If you made the right decision, you shouldn't have to account for things like height and things like that. But, you know, and keep in mind, these are on level ground. This isn't fighting someone on a hill. So, unfortunate, does happen. Would I recommend this? If you have a PlayStation 4, get the game.
I feel like this is the first reason to buy a next-gen console.
Yes.
Specifically PS4, I guess.
Yeah, it's only on PS4.
But this is like a reason to go to next-gen.
Yes. And it's
games like this.
It's something that you want every console to have. You want every console to have their Bloodborne level of game that makes you go, oh, I need to buy this. This is a worthy investment. And I think Sony finally found theirs. It took them forever, but they finally found it. So that's good for them. If you're into games that echo back to a traditional style of play, of, hey, don't hold your hand, you know, get in there, freaking knock it out, discover the story, interpret it how you believe. If you're an old school gamer, as in you grew up in the NES era, or NES, SNES, whatever era, not in the PS2 era, you want to go further back than that.
Yeah.
If you're on a PS4 and you want a challenge, that is definitely important. This game will challenge you. The game is, like I said, I believe it to be the hardest of the Souls games, but it's definitely very rewarding. I would say don't get this game if you're taking anger management classes. The game can screw you over sometimes.
Yeah.
In the sense of, like, sometimes you'd be like, you know what? I don't need to level up. I'll hold on to my souls. And then you'll go to an area, get destroyed. And you'll be like, you know, I'll take it slow. I'll run down, get destroyed. Again, lose your souls. Damn it! You know, it's going to happen. Or you'll walk up because there's no more fog gates the first time you fight an enemy or a boss. So you just walk in somewhere and then a life bar will come up and you're like, shit. You know, and you're like, damn it, damn it, damn it. So the game definitely purposely does that shit. Because they don't want you to know it's a boss. They want you to be like, ooh, look where you stumbled upon. So, definitely a good game. Definitely a recommendation. Anyone who has a PlayStation 4 and they want to know what all the hubbub is about, Dark Souls, Demon Souls, whatever the Souls game is an experience to play. It's an experience. If you play it day one, you're experiencing it with everyone else. It's a fun thing to do. And I recommend anyone, the next Souls game that comes out, like new Souls game that comes out, get it. And play through it with everyone else, and you're going to see why it's such a big deal. Everyone's discovering everything. It's a community effort. Everyone's like, oh, well, I heard you can do this. Harkens back to the days of like, oh, I heard in Mario you could jump over the flagpole and get like 50 like life ups or whatever. That's what the game focuses on. Cool. So, hey, get it.
Well, I'm Spencer.
And I'm still in Blood.
And this is The Itch. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Check us out on This is The Itch.
At Twitch.
We
do new videos every week! Bye.